Unlocking Machiavelli's law of mental power is a concept that connects emotional intelligence and self-mastery with the philosophy of Niccolò Machiavelli, an Italian Renaissance political philosopher best known for his work The Prince. In this context, Machiavelli's teachings are applied to understanding the difference between responding and reacting, and how mastering this difference can unlock mental power. Here's a detailed explanation. Reacting versus responding. Understanding the difference between reacting and responding is crucial for mastering emotional intelligence, personal growth, and overall success in life. While the two terms may seem similar, they are fundamentally different in how we approach situations and manage our emotions. Reacting. Reacting is the instant, automatic response to something, often driven by emotions, instincts, or external triggers. It is typically impulsive, happening without conscious thought or consideration. Key features of reacting: emotionally driven. Reacting is mostly based on how we feel in the moment. It's an emotional reflex rather than a rational or reasoned response. For example, if someone insults you, you may immediately feel anger or frustration and shout back without taking time to process the situation. Impulsive. Reactions happen so quickly that we often don't have time to think. These reactions are usually habitual, based on past experiences, and often occur before we can stop ourselves. Out of control. When reacting, emotions often take control, leading to actions we may later regret. It's like a burst of energy or frustration that leads to an uncontrolled outcome, without regard for the consequences. No reflection. Reacting usually doesn't involve any kind of pause, reflection, or evaluation. It's purely about doing something right away in response to external stimuli. Short-term focus. Reactions are often focused on the immediate situation, and they can escalate tension or conflict in the short term. They may provide temporary relief, like yelling back at someone who insulted you, but they don't solve underlying issues or help you grow emotionally. Example of reacting. Imagine someone criticizes your work in front of a group. Your immediate reaction might be to feel embarrassed, defensive, or angry. You might then respond by snapping at them or making a sarcastic comment, without considering the long-term consequences of your words or the effect it will have on your reputation or relationship with the person. Responding. Responding is the deliberate, thoughtful action that comes after taking the time to consider the situation carefully. It involves a calculated decision rather than an emotional or impulsive reaction. Responding means you are in control of your emotions and have chosen to act in a way that serves your long-term interests. Key features of responding: emotionally intelligent. When you respond, you are aware of your emotions but do not let them dictate your actions. You acknowledge your feelings but choose not to let them control your behavior. You can take a moment to calm down before responding. Mindful and thoughtful. Responding is a conscious decision to take a step back and reflect on the situation. It requires mindfulness, or being present and aware of your thoughts, feelings, and the circumstances. You process the situation, evaluate your options, and choose the best course of action. Control and composure. In responding, you take control of your emotions and thoughts. You don't allow anger, fear, or frustration to take the wheel. Instead, you maintain your composure and approach the situation rationally. This shows emotional strength and maturity. Reflection. Before responding, you often take time to think about the possible consequences of your actions. You consider how your response will affect the situation, the people involved, and your future relationships. Long-term focus. Responding is about taking the right action that aligns with your values and long-term goals. It focuses on a positive resolution that helps you maintain peace, solve the problem, and move forward. For instance, instead of fighting back when insulted, you might calmly ask for clarification or choose to ignore the insult to avoid escalating the conflict. Example of responding. Let's take the same situation as before. Someone criticizes your work. If you respond instead of react, you might first take a deep breath to calm yourself. You might acknowledge the person's opinion, but you would express your thoughts in a calm, constructive manner. You could say something like, "Thank you for your feedback. I'll review it and see how I can improve next time." By doing so, you not only avoid an argument, but you also maintain your dignity and build a reputation for being mature and composed. The core difference. Control. The most important difference between reacting and responding is control. Reacting means losing control to your emotions and impulses. It's an automatic, unplanned response where your emotions take over. Responding means gaining control over your emotions and thoughts, taking time to evaluate the situation before taking action. When we react, we often regret our actions afterward, as they are influenced by emotions rather than reason. However, when we respond, we are more likely to act in a way that aligns with our values, goals, and emotional well-being. Why responding is powerful. Personal growth. Responding fosters emotional maturity and self-awareness. It encourages us to pause, reflect, and act with intention, which leads to personal development. Better decision-making. By responding, we make better decisions because we've had the time to think through our options. This leads to better problem-solving and conflict resolution skills. Maintaining relationships. In both personal and professional relationships, responding thoughtfully helps maintain harmony and build trust. People respect those who can stay calm and measured, even in stressful situations. Reduced stress. When we react impulsively, we often feel regret or guilt afterward, which creates stress. Responding, on the other hand, reduces the emotional burden, as we've taken the time to make a choice that aligns with our values. Improved mental health. Responding rather than reacting leads to greater emotional stability. It enables us to control our emotional responses, reducing anxiety and frustration. How to shift from reacting to responding. Pause. Take a deep breath or count to 3 before responding to a triggering situation. Self-awareness. Recognize your emotions without letting them control you. Perspective. Ask yourself, what's the best way to handle this? Or what's the long-term impact of my response? Practice mindfulness. Develop the habit of observing your thoughts and emotions without judgment, allowing you to choose a more deliberate response. Stay calm. Cultivate techniques like deep breathing, meditation, or visualization to remain calm in stressful situations. Reacting is an automatic, emotion-driven response that often leads to regret, while responding is a conscious, controlled, and thoughtful action that serves your long-term goals. Mastering the difference between these two can significantly improve your emotional intelligence, decision-making, and relationships. By learning to respond rather than react, you gain the ability to navigate life's challenges with greater emotional strength and mental clarity. Machiavelli's Law of Mental Power, a detailed explanation. Niccolo Machiavelli, one of history's most influential political thinkers, is best known for his writings on power, strategy, and leadership. His most famous work, The Prince, provides advice to rulers on how to maintain power and navigate the complexities of governance. While Machiavelli's ideas were primarily focused on political leadership, his core principles have broader applications, including personal mental power. The law of mental power refers to the idea that by mastering your emotions, thoughts, and strategies, you can achieve greater success in your personal life, leadership roles, and any situation that requires decision-making. This law is about emotional control, strategic thinking, and the long-term view, which are crucial for maintaining power, influence, and achieving goals. Emotional control, the foundation of mental power in The Prince. Machiavelli stresses the importance of controlling emotions in positions of power. When you're in charge or trying to influence others, Being emotionally reactive can undermine your ability to lead and make sound decisions. Why emotional control matters. Avoiding impulsive decisions. Emotions often cloud judgment and lead to decisions made in the heat of the moment. Reacting impulsively can result in actions you regret and may even lead to conflict. By maintaining control over your emotions, you prevent knee-jerk reactions and think carefully about how to handle any situation. Clarity of thought. When you are emotionally controlled, you can process information clearly and objectively. This gives you the ability to analyze situations from different perspectives and make better informed decisions. Perception of strength. Others are more likely to follow or trust someone who remains calm under pressure. Emotional control signals strength, wisdom, and reliability, which are vital traits for anyone in a leadership role. Example of emotional control. Imagine being in a heated argument with a colleague or subordinate at work. If you let anger take over, you might respond harshly, damaging the relationship. But if you stay calm and composed, even if you disagree, you can express your point logically and assertively without escalating the conflict. This emotional composure allows you to maintain your position and authority in the situation. Strategic thinking, the power of calculated actions. Machiavelli's writings emphasize strategy and calculated decision-making. He believed that success in leadership, whether in politics, business, or any area of influence, depends on the ability to think ahead, anticipate challenges, and plan for the long term. Why strategic thinking is important. Control over outcomes. When you think strategically, you don't just react to events as they come. Instead, you take proactive steps that align with your goals. This allows you to control your future rather than being swept along by external forces. Long-term vision. Strategic thinking focuses on the long-term consequences of your actions, rather than seeking short-term satisfaction or quick results. It involves making decisions that will serve your interests down the road, even if they require patience and careful planning. Anticipating challenges. A strategic mindset allows you to foresee potential obstacles and devise ways to overcome them. It also enables you to seize opportunities that others may overlook. Example of strategic thinking. Consider a business leader who is deciding whether to launch a new product. Instead of rushing into the decision based on current market trends, they take the time to evaluate the potential risks and benefits, research the competition, and project future market conditions. By doing so, they position themselves for long-term success, rather than making a rash decision that may backfire in the future. Machiavelli's mental power in action in today's world. The law of mental power is about how controlling your emotions and using strategic thinking can amplify your ability to make better decisions, influence others, and achieve success, even in difficult situations. Modern application. In leadership, a leader who loses control of their emotions and acts impulsively risks losing their credibility and authority. However, a leader who is emotionally stable and strategic in their actions maintains influence, even when faced with adversity. Strategic decision-making ensures that the leader's actions align with the organization's long-term goals, keeping the team focused and motivated. In personal development, mastering your emotions and responding thoughtfully to challenges enables you to grow as an individual. By thinking strategically about your choices, whether it's in your career, relationships, or personal goals, you gain the ability to shape your own future and increase your influence over your own life and the lives of those around you. In conflict resolution, when you control your emotions and respond with strategy, you can handle conflict more effectively. Instead of being reactive and defensive, you can assess the situation, choose the most appropriate response, and prevent the conflict from escalating. This control not only helps resolve issues but also positions you as a problem solver, enhancing your reputation and influence. Understanding the role of emotions in decision. Making emotions are not inherently bad. They can provide insight into what you care about and guide your actions in certain situations. However, when emotions drive decisions without reflection, they can lead to impulsive, regrettable actions. Machiavelli's law of mental power emphasizes the importance of acknowledging emotions, but not letting them dictate your actions. For instance, fear. Instead of letting fear paralyze you, recognize it as a signal to assess risks and make a more informed, calculated decision. Anger. Rather than letting anger dictate a rash response, use it as motivation to take a measured action toward resolving the issue in a constructive manner. Greed. Recognize when the desire for wealth or success is clouding your judgment and focus on making decisions based on long-term benefit, rather than immediate gratification. The impact of mental power on influence. Machiavelli believed that true power comes from the ability to influence others. This requires mental strength, the ability to control your emotions, think strategically, and remain calm under pressure. Influence through composure. People are more likely to follow or listen to someone who demonstrates mental strength. In situations of stress or crisis, a calm, strategic individual stands out and commands respect. Influence through strategic decision-making. When you consistently make well-thought-out decisions, others will view you as a wise and capable leader. They will trust you to guide them toward long-term success. Influence through emotional control. Leaders or individuals who remain composed during difficult times are seen as emotionally resilient. This emotional control becomes a source of influence, as others admire the stability and reliability that comes with it. Unlocking the law of mental power. The key to unlocking the full potential of Machiavelli's law of mental power lies in the combination of emotional control and strategic thinking. When you learn to manage your emotions and make decisions with a clear, strategic mindset, you place yourself in a position of strength and influence. This can lead to better decision-making. The more you control your emotions and approach situations strategically, the better your decision-making becomes. You think with clarity, avoid impulsive mistakes, and make decisions that serve your long-term goals. Stronger relationships. In both personal and professional life, strategic thinking and emotional control help you build stronger relationships. You can handle disagreements more effectively, resolve conflicts without escalating them, and gain the respect of others. Increased influence. Mastering these principles allows you to influence others more effectively. People tend to follow those who display mental strength, calmness, and sound judgment. And you can use this influence to achieve your goals and gain the respect of those around you. Machiavelli's law of mental power teaches us that emotional control and strategic thinking are essential to success and influence. By managing our emotions and making calculated decisions, we can navigate challenges, maintain control in difficult situations, and achieve our long-term goals. This mental power gives us a greater ability to influence others, gain respect, and ultimately succeed, both personally and professionally. Unlocking mental power. A detailed explanation. Unlocking mental power is about developing a mindset that allows you to maintain control over your emotions, thoughts, and decisions, especially in challenging or emotionally charged situations. It's about practicing certain disciplines that allow you to think strategically, stay composed, and make calculated decisions that serve your long-term goals. The key to this is building habits and skills that empower you to act thoughtfully and effectively, rather than reacting impulsively. Here are the core principles that help unlock mental power. Self-awareness. Recognizing impulsive reactions. Self-awareness is the first step toward unlocking mental power. It involves understanding your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, and how they influence your actions. Recognizing when you are reacting impulsively is crucial because it gives you the opportunity to step back and choose how to respond more thoughtfully. Why self-awareness matters. Recognizing emotional triggers. Everyone has emotional triggers, situations or words that can evoke a strong emotional reaction. For instance, you might get defensive when criticized, or you may feel angry when someone cuts you off in traffic. Being aware of these triggers allows you to identify when your emotions are about to take control, so you can stop yourself from reacting impulsively. Understanding patterns of behavior. Self-awareness also helps you recognize patterns in your behavior. For example, if you tend to shut down during conflicts or become overly aggressive when challenged, identifying these patterns gives you the power to change them. It helps you become more intentional in your actions. Gaining control. Once you're aware of your emotional triggers and patterns, you can choose to respond consciously rather than acting based on instinct or emotions. This gives you greater control over your interactions and decisions. How to build self-awareness. Reflection. Regularly reflect on your reactions and decisions. Ask yourself questions like, why did I react that way? Or how could I have handled that situation better? Journaling. Keep a journal to track your emotions, triggers, and behaviors. This helps you recognize patterns and work toward more thoughtful responses. Mindfulness and delay. Pausing before acting. Mindfulness and delay are powerful techniques that can significantly enhance your mental power. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, while delay involves taking a pause before responding to a situation, especially in moments of emotional intensity. By taking a moment to process your thoughts and emotions, you can avoid reacting impulsively and instead choose to respond in a more deliberate and controlled way. Why mindfulness and delay matter. Avoiding knee-jerk reactions. When emotions are running high, it's easy to react impulsively without thinking. However, this often leads to regrettable actions or words. By practicing mindfulness and taking a deliberate pause, you give yourself the opportunity to cool down and avoid saying or doing something you might regret later. Gaining perspective. A brief pause allows you to assess the situation more objectively. Instead of being overwhelmed by immediate emotions, you can consider the bigger picture, evaluate potential consequences, and think about the best course of action. Improve decision-making. Mindfulness and delay help you make better decisions because they enable you to think through the situation calmly and logically. When you take a moment to breathe and reflect, you reduce the chances of making a decision based purely on emotion. How to practice mindfulness and delay. Pause and breathe. Whenever you feel emotionally triggered, take a few deep breaths. This can help reset your emotional state and give you a moment of clarity. Count to 10. When you feel the urge to react, count to 10 before responding. This simple technique gives you the time you need to gather your thoughts and respond in a measured way. Mindfulness meditation. Practice mindfulness meditation regularly to help you stay present and improve your ability to pause before acting in emotionally charged situations. Emotional intelligence. Understanding and managing emotions. Emotional intelligence, EI, is the ability to understand, manage, and influence your own emotions and the emotions of others. It is a critical skill for unlocking mental power because it allows you to navigate complex emotional dynamics, maintain composure in difficult situations, and build stronger relationships. Why emotional intelligence matters. Self-regulation. Emotional intelligence enables you to manage your emotions effectively. This means you don't let anger, fear, or frustration take over and dictate your actions. Instead, you remain composed and choose to respond thoughtfully. Empathy. Understanding and recognizing the emotions of others is a key part of emotional intelligence. When you are able to empathize with others, you can respond in a way that respects their feelings and de-escalates tense situations. Social skills. Emotional intelligence also improves your social interactions. By staying emotionally intelligent, you can communicate effectively, manage conflicts, and influence others in a positive way. Maintaining harmony. When you manage your emotions and understand others' feelings, you can maintain harmony in relationships, whether in personal or professional settings. This creates a positive environment that fosters trust and cooperation. How to develop emotional intelligence. Self-reflection. Regularly assess your emotional reactions. How did you handle situations? What could you have done differently? This helps you improve your emotional responses over time. Practice active listening. Listen to others with empathy, not just to respond, but to understand their emotions and perspectives. Regulate emotions. Learn techniques to regulate your emotions, such as deep breathing, taking breaks, or using positive self-talk. Strategic decision-making. Thinking with logic and vision. Strategic decision-making is about making choices that align with your long-term goals, even when emotions or immediate circumstances might push you in a different direction. Machiavelli emphasized the importance of strategy in leadership, and this applies to everyday life as well. By thinking strategically, you ensure that your decisions are calculated and aligned with your broader objectives. Why strategic decision-making matters. Long-term goals. When making decisions, it's easy to get caught up in short-term emotions or pressures. Strategic decision-making involves looking beyond the immediate moment and considering how each choice will impact your future. By focusing on your long-term goals, you make decisions that serve your best interests over time, avoiding emotional pitfalls. When you make decisions based purely on emotions, you may choose actions that feel good in the moment but hurt you in the long run. Strategic thinking helps you stay focused on what will benefit you in the long term, even if it means sacrificing short-term pleasure or relief. Evaluating options. Strategic decision-making involves weighing different options, considering the pros and cons, and anticipating possible outcomes. This helps you make informed, effective choices that align with your vision. How to think strategically. Set long-term goals. Clarify your long-term objectives and ensure that your decisions are aligned with achieving them. Ask yourself, does this choice bring me closer to my vision? Analyze the situation. Before making a decision, assess all available options. Consider the potential outcomes and consequences of each one. Consult multiple perspectives. Gather input from others, especially those with more experience, to gain different viewpoints on the situation. Be willing to adapt. While strategic thinking involves planning ahead, it's also about being adaptable and flexible when circumstances change. Strategic decision-makers are able to pivot when needed without losing sight of their goals. Unlocking your mental power. Unlocking your mental power is not a one-time achievement. It's a continuous process of growth and self-improvement. By practicing self-awareness, mindfulness, emotional intelligence, and strategic decision-making, you develop the mental strength needed to navigate life's challenges with greater ease and effectiveness. These disciplines give you the power to respond thoughtfully, make calculated decisions, and influence outcomes in your favor, ultimately helping you unlock your full potential and achieve success in both your personal and professional life. The benefits of mastering mental power. Mastering mental power is a transformative skill that enhances your decision-making, leadership abilities, emotional resilience, and influence over others. It helps you respond to challenges and situations in a more thoughtful, controlled manner, rather than reacting impulsively based on emotions or external pressures. The benefits of mastering this mental power extend into almost every aspect of life, making you more effective and successful in both personal and professional settings. Let's explore each benefit in detail. Clarity of thought. Making clearer, more reasoned decisions when you respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. You create the mental space needed to think more clearly. By controlling your emotions and taking a moment to pause before making decisions, you allow your rational mind to guide you, resulting in clearer and more reasoned choices. Why clarity of thought matters. Reducing cognitive overload. Emotional reactions can overwhelm the mind, making it difficult to think clearly. When you respond instead of react, you prevent emotions from clouding your judgment. This allows you to think critically and evaluate the situation logically. Informed decision-making. When your thoughts are clear, you can gather all necessary information, weigh pros and cons, and consider the potential outcomes of your actions. This helps you make more informed decisions that align with your long-term goals. Goal alignment. By responding thoughtfully, you ensure that your decisions are more aligned with your core values and long-term objectives, rather than being swayed by short-term impulses or immediate emotions. Example of clarity of thought. Imagine you are faced with a decision at work, perhaps a new project that requires you to take on additional responsibilities. If you react impulsively based on the pressure you feel, you may agree to take on more than you can handle, leading to stress and burnout. However, if you pause and consider your long-term goals, workload, and energy levels, you might realize that saying no or negotiating for a more manageable role aligns better with your current priorities. This clarity of thought enables you to make a decision that serves your well-being in the long run. Stronger leadership. Stability, trust, and capability. One of the greatest benefits of mastering mental power is becoming a stronger leader. When you are able to control your emotions and respond with thoughtfulness rather than reacting impulsively, you project qualities of stability, trustworthiness, and capability, all essential characteristics of effective leadership. Why stronger leadership matters. Stability in crisis. Leaders are often faced with challenging situations that require calm, thoughtful responses. When you can maintain emotional control, especially under pressure, you provide a stabilizing presence for your team. This stability fosters confidence and trust in your leadership. Trustworthiness. Leaders who react impulsively or emotionally can appear unstable or unpredictable, which undermines trust. However, leaders who consistently respond thoughtfully are seen as reliable and capable of making sound decisions, even in difficult circumstances. Inspiring respect. Strong leaders are those who can think clearly, manage their emotions, and make decisions with the long term in mind. By mastering mental power, you inspire respect from others and encourage a culture of strategic thinking and emotional intelligence. Example of stronger leadership. Consider a manager handling a team during a time of organizational change. If the manager reacts to every challenge with stress or frustration, the team will likely feel anxious and uncertain. On the other hand, if the manager responds with calmness, provides clear communication, and supports the team through the transition, the team will trust in the manager's ability to guide them through the change. The manager's stability and emotional intelligence will help the team remain focused and motivated. Emotional resilience. Developing the ability to withstand external pressure. Emotional resilience refers to your ability to bounce back from setbacks and maintain your emotional well-being, even in the face of adversity. Mastering mental power, by responding thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively, plays a key role in developing this resilience. Why emotional resilience matters. Reduced vulnerability to stress. People who react emotionally to every external circumstance are more likely to feel overwhelmed and stressed. By choosing to respond with calmness and control, you prevent external factors from having an outsized emotional impact on you. Long-term emotional strength. Over time, the habit of responding thoughtfully builds emotional resilience. You begin to see challenges as opportunities for growth, rather than as insurmountable obstacles. This perspective shift helps you maintain your emotional balance, even in difficult times. Healthy boundaries. When you are emotionally resilient, you are better able to establish healthy boundaries with others. You're less likely to let other people's emotions or actions dictate how you feel. This strengthens your emotional well-being and helps you maintain your focus on your goals. Example of emotional resilience. Imagine you're going through a tough period at work or school, with deadlines and demands piling up. If you react emotionally by feeling overwhelmed, it can lead to burnout or negative thinking. However, if you respond calmly by breaking down the tasks, setting priorities, and maintaining a balanced outlook, you are building your emotional resilience. You are able to cope with stress in a healthy way, managing pressure without succumbing to it. Greater influence, the power to guide and inspire others. Mastering the ability to control your reactions gives you a powerful tool for influencing others, whether in personal or professional settings. The ability to stay composed and respond thoughtfully enables you to lead by example and gain the respect of others. Why greater influence matters. Building respect. People naturally gravitate toward those who can remain calm under pressure and act with thoughtfulness. This ability earns you the respect and admiration of others, making them more likely to listen to your ideas, follow your lead, and be influenced by your behavior. Creating opportunities. When you respond thoughtfully, you open up more opportunities for collaboration, cooperation, and positive outcomes. You avoid escalating tensions or conflicts, which creates an environment where others are more willing to work with you and support your goals. Persuasion and negotiation. Influence is also about persuasion. Being able to respond with empathy, understanding, and strategy helps you to negotiate effectively and persuade others to see your point of view. By managing your emotions and staying calm, you present yourself as someone who is in control, which increases your persuasive power. Example of greater influence. In a business negotiation, the ability to remain calm and strategic, rather than reacting with frustration or impatience, can make a huge difference in the outcome. When you control your emotions, you present yourself as a composed and rational negotiator, which gives you more influence over the conversation. This influence can lead to better deals, stronger relationships, and more opportunities for success. Conclusion. The comprehensive benefits of mastering. Mental power. Mastering mental power not only leads to personal growth but also enhances your ability to lead effectively, navigate challenges, and influence others. By practicing self-control and strategic thinking, you can achieve clarity of thought, enabling you to make clear, rational decisions, stronger leadership, making you a stable, trustworthy, and capable leader. Emotional resilience, helping you remain composed and mentally strong during stressful times. Greater influence, allowing you to inspire and guide others with your calm and thoughtful approach. Ultimately, mastering mental power provides you with the tools to create positive outcomes in every area of life, from personal development to professional success. By choosing to respond thoughtfully, you not only improve your own life, but also the lives of those around you, fostering an environment of respect, growth, and collaboration. Practical application of mastering mental power, a detailed explanation. Mastering mental power is not just a theoretical concept. It has practical applications in various aspects of life. By learning to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively, you can improve your relationships, enhance your leadership skills, and foster personal growth. Below, we will explore how mastering mental power can be applied in 3 key areas of life: relationships, business, and personal growth. In relationships, healthier and more productive interactions. Relationships, whether romantic, familial, or friendships, require emotional intelligence and control. Misunderstandings and conflicts are inevitable, but how you handle them can determine the health and longevity of the relationship. Reacting impulsively, whether with anger, frustration, or defensiveness, can escalate conflicts and cause long-lasting harm. How to apply mental power in relationships. Pause and reflect. When a partner or loved one says something hurtful, your immediate reaction might be anger or frustration. Instead of letting your emotions drive the conversation, take a deep breath. This moment of pause allows you to gain control over your emotions, rather than being controlled by them. Reflect on the situation and then respond calmly. This response helps you stay rational and prevents you from saying things you might regret. Empathy and understanding. Responding thoughtfully also means taking time to understand the other person's perspective. Instead of becoming defensive, you might ask questions to clarify their intentions or feelings. This promotes better communication and shows that you care about the other person's point of view. Setting boundaries and expressing feelings calmly. When you respond rather than react, you can express your emotions without being overly emotional. For example, you could say, "I felt hurt by what you said, and I'd like to talk about how we can avoid this in the future." This creates a more productive conversation and allows both parties to express their needs and feelings respectfully. Practical example. Imagine a scenario where your partner criticizes your actions or makes a negative remark about something you did. If you react by getting defensive or angry, the situation may escalate into a bigger argument. However, if you respond calmly by taking a deep breath, acknowledging your partner's feelings, and then explaining your point of view respectfully, you create space for dialogue and understanding. This leads to a healthier, more constructive conversation, where both partners feel heard and valued. In business, leading with calm, strategic thinking. Business environments, especially leadership roles, often involve high-pressure situations where decisions need to be made quickly. Leaders who are reactive may make hasty decisions that can harm the business in the long run. In contrast, those who respond strategically and calmly are more likely to manage crises effectively, keep their teams focused, and ensure long-term success. How to apply mental power in business. Maintaining composure in crisis. Business crises, such as sudden market changes, client issues, or internal team conflicts, can be overwhelming. However, if a leader reacts impulsively out of stress or frustration, it can create confusion and panic among the team. Instead, practicing mental power means taking a step back, evaluating the situation, and then making a calm, strategic decision that benefits the business. Strategic decision-making. Responding thoughtfully requires thinking long-term. As a leader, you need to analyze all possible options and consider the long-term consequences of your decisions. This strategic thinking leads to more effective solutions, whether in a crisis or during routine business operations. Conflict resolution. In a team environment, conflicts between employees or with clients are inevitable. A leader who responds thoughtfully instead of reacting emotionally will handle these conflicts with diplomacy and tact. By staying calm, a leader can de-escalate tensions and find a solution that benefits everyone involved. Practical example. Imagine a situation where an important business deal falls through or a key project deadline is missed. If you, as the leader, react with panic, frustration, or blame, the team might feel demotivated or confused. However, if you respond by calmly assessing the situation, acknowledging the mistake or setback, and then developing a plan to address the issue, you provide stability and direction. Your thoughtful response helps guide the team through the crisis, maintains morale, and positions the business for future success. In personal growth, building self-esteem and mental strength mastering, mental power also plays a critical role in personal growth. The ability to respond thoughtfully to challenges rather than reacting impulsively directly contributes to improving self-esteem, increasing emotional resilience, and enhancing overall mental strength. How to apply mental power for personal growth. Building self-awareness. Practicing mindfulness and self-reflection allows you to understand your emotional triggers and responses. This self-awareness helps you gain control over your reactions and move toward more thoughtful, measured responses. Over time, this awareness increases your self-esteem because you feel more in control of your emotions and behavior. Boosting emotional resilience. Life inevitably involves difficulties, setbacks, and challenges. However, if you can respond to these challenges with emotional control and a positive mindset, you become more emotionally resilient. You learn to see setbacks as opportunities for growth rather than as insurmountable obstacles. This resilience enhances your confidence and self-esteem over time. Improved decision-making and confidence. When you respond thoughtfully, you make decisions based on logic, reflection, and long-term goals. This thoughtful decision-making builds your confidence because you trust yourself to make wise choices. The more you practice this, the more you enhance your sense of mental power, which boosts your overall quality of life. Practical example. Imagine you face a difficult situation, such as receiving negative feedback at work or dealing with a personal setback. If you react impulsively, feeling angry, discouraged, or defeated, you may dwell on the negative and let it lower your self-esteem. However, if you pause, process your emotions, and respond thoughtfully by taking constructive action or learning from the feedback, you not only grow from the experience but also build emotional resilience. Each time you respond rather than react, you strengthen your mental power, which helps you approach future challenges with greater confidence. The practical impact of mastering. Mental power mastering. Mental power is not only about gaining control over your emotions, but also about creating a framework for healthier relationships, effective leadership, and personal growth. By responding thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively, you enhance your ability to maintain calm and build stronger connections in relationships, lead with stability and strategic thinking in business, build self-esteem and mental resilience for personal growth. These practical applications of mental power help you lead a more balanced, successful, and fulfilling life. Each situation becomes an opportunity for growth, whether you are improving your relationships, guiding a team through challenges, or navigating your own personal development. The ability to respond thoughtfully is a skill that, when practiced consistently, empowers you to achieve your goals and lead with confidence.